The train carrying 160 passengers was meant to slow down to 15 kilometres.
The Sydney to Melbourne XPT train derailment near Wallen Station last night.
Yeah, I would imagine the first responder who turned up. Recordings show the driver in the M7 derailed the M7.
Departure from Sydney Central Station. On the 20th of February 2020, New South Wales Trainlink XPT departed Sydney Central Station at 7:42 a.m, with Powercar XP 2018 leading. The service was scheduled to stop at several stations before arriving at Southern Cross Station in Melbourne, Victoria, at 6:30 p.m. later on that evening. After travelling south, the train arrived at Junee in southern New South Wales at 2:52, roughly running 85 minutes late. There was a change of drivers before the train continued south from Junee. At 4:37, the train had arrived at Albury and the train passenger car crew underwent a change before crossing into Victorian territory, still running roughly about 85 minutes late. The service continued south, making many stops before coming to a standstill at intermediate home signal KME 28 in Kilmore East around 6:56 p.m. Around 7:04, the driver contacted Network Control to find out when he may get the go-ahead to continue. The XPT waited at East Line signal until V-Line passenger train 8625 headed north. The northbound V-Line passenger train 8625 passed signal KME2 and continued down the West Line through Kilmore East, whilst the XPT waited at KME 28 on the East Line. By around 7:25, the V-Line train had left the single line stretch, and shortly after that, Network Control gave the XPT authority to travel to home departure signal KME 16 within the Kilmore East area. An alternate safe working method was being used to manage a 24-kilometre portion from Kilmore East signal KME 16 to Donnybrook due to damage to the signalling equipment, and Wallen was situated in this area. A signaller and an accompanied qualified worker were among the rail employees who encountered XPT ST23 at signal KME 16. As part of the alternate safe working system in place for the 24-kilometre segment to Donnybrook, the AQW boarded the lead power car and joined the driver at the front of the train to Donnybrook. After leaving signal KME 16, the train entered a single line heading into the direction of Wallen. The train speed grew approaching the line speed, which for the XPT in this segment was 130 km an hour. The AQW had the responsibility of making sure the level crossing protection at Wallen-Whittlesea Road in Wallen was adequate for the train's passage. At this particular level crossing, the level crossing keeper reported receiving a call from the AQW and turning on the crossing protection. At almost the line speed of the track, XPT ST23 was nearing the northern end of Wallen Loop around 7:43. Records from the train show that the emergency brake had been applied just before the points. This caused the train, which had been travelling at a speed of more than 100 km an hour, to slow down somewhat before entering the turnout. At this speed, the train was unable to manoeuvre the turnout onto the loop track and sadly derailed. The XPT driver and the AQW both suffered fatal injuries as the leading power car toppled onto its left side during the derailment sequence. 36 passengers had minor injuries, while 3 passengers suffered significant injuries. Additionally, 5 train crew members who were in the passenger cars suffered injuries. Sadly, the XPT driver and the AQW perished.
I guess I should say, well, thanks for having me on. I never felt uncomfortable on the trip, like up until the point of failure. It was more a fault of the track work than anything actually wrong with the mechanics of the train. Like, There's only so much those tracks can take. In its final moments on the track, Sorobakta we were just speeding along. Like, after it started like wobbling a bit. Like, we were probably doing the same speed you do like on the end bit of the Werribee line, like between Williams Landing and Werribee. Like, that kind of speed. Like, it was just rocketing along. Considering on that detour, what? You're meant to be going like 15 k's an hour during like that loop thing, but we were going like easy 90 or 100. Like, it was just, like I said before, it's just rocketing along. We were on the train, probably not too far out of Melbourne, about an hour. Everything was normal up until this point. No one really knew that the speed limit was 15 kilometers an hour. It just started shaking, and then like all of a sudden, like things just started flying everywhere. It was insane. We weren't in one of those ones that fully came off the tracks, but like you still definitely felt it. A little shocking, you know. You don't anticipate or even like know how to react in that sort of situation. There's just like this guy out there, a few others came to help the driver too. They tried to smash the window, couldn't get the drivers out. The cabin filled with smoke, like at least the one we were in. It was like dusty, there's a lot of screaming. That's about it really. Thanks for having me on.
This was a devastating derailment that occurred in Wallen on that day. Thank you for listening to this informational video on the XPT derailment at Wallen.